Aloha and welcome to Betty's Real Estate Corner, brought to you by Sakamoto Properties, where prestige is our business, reputation our foundation. Welcome. It's a great day here. I've got Dean Otto with me.
Hi, Betty.
We're trying to come up with what we think is going to be important, and I've got Dean on statistics and some interesting ideas. You can reach us with any questions at our office, 808-669-0070. You can check out our website, which is sakamotoproperties.com. You can find us on Twitter at Maui Sakamoto, and on Twitter connect with us using hashtag Betty Maui Radio. So there's a lot of ways to track us down. So I'm thinking, Dean, why don't you start? We talked a lot about Troy when you took him off to college. What is going on? This is Dean Otto's son, #1 kid at Maui Prep, and really an amazing, amazing young man, and in college now. So what's going on?
Thanks, Betty. Yeah, he's absolutely doing great. He's loving life in college. He's in his first quarter at the University of Oregon, and seemingly pretty well settled, pretty well adjusted, and having a ball. You know,
that is great.
I got a text from him last week after the big football game at the University of Oregon, and his report back was that it was absolutely awesome. He can die a happy man now.
Now, Dean and his wife Michelle met in college at the same college. They happen to be Ducks, so I think that it really is exciting, and it has to be really fun for you because you were there. You know, you've done it.
Exactly, it is exciting, and for my wife and I, as we both go back to visit, it's always fun. We have a lot of friends there, and we always have a great time. And you know, I think it's just a phenomenal place to go to college. The campus is amazing. You know, there's been huge investment into the university, not just the football program, but the university. Every school, every department has new buildings. It's just absolutely an amazing place to go to college, and I wish I was 18 in my freshman year as well.
I'll bet. You know, we've told this story before, but I still kind of love it. Dean played rugby in South Africa, and after being in the military, came to the United States trying to decide if, you know, college and what he was going to do next. What was out there on the college campus, on the football field, just kicking a ball around, when kind of like a classic, I think we need to make the movie one of these years, that someone walks up to him and says, "Can you kick that through there?" and looks through the uprights. Dean looks, "Yeah, I could kick it through there," and the rest is history, but they gave him a full ride scholarship, and he played in his first American football game. Like 10 days later, he had never seen an American football game, so there were a few shocks, including somebody splattering him to the ground after he kicked the ball.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal experience, and you know, as you say, I was actually just on vacation passing through town when I ended up getting the scholarship, so really lucky. And I tried, of course, those were probably the 2 best kicks I've ever had in my life, and they signed me up immediately, and the rest is history. But I had a phenomenal time. I loved the University of Oregon, and I loved Oregon, and you know, anything better than that is Maui.
And he met his wife Michelle there, and Michelle was born and raised here on Maui. So the good news is we all ended up having Dean in our lives when they came back to Maui, and decided that they would stay here, raise their family. And fortunately at Sakamoto, we're happy they're selling real estate with us, and we know their family, so it's pretty amazing. Anyway, you want to kind of throw out a few statistics? You know, I know we're all saying everything is doing great. We're all excited about the market. There's a variety of things. You know, inventory is going down, which is good and is going to make things go up. But why don't you give us a few
highlights?
Few highlights.
Yeah, absolutely. I do this every time I come on the radio show, and it's something that I follow very religiously, is the statistics, and certainly a great way to anticipate the market, and great way to kind of get a good read on what's happening out there. And there's a pretty good information out there right now, as Betty mentioned. The market is actually doing very well in Maui, and sometimes it's a little hard to feel it, but it is actually making good progress. This is probably the first time that I've reported statistics where we're having, you know, double-digit improvements in every one of the categories that we look at. It's very unusual. We've come a long way. It's clearly the best statistical information we've seen in 5 years, and really is actually progressing quite rapidly as you look at statistics. Single-family home sales this year versus last year are up 11%. The average sale price is up 11%, and the total volume is up 24%. Those are significant numbers when you consider where we've come from. And just as good for condominiums, which sales are up 11%. The average sale price is up 19%, which is a huge jump. And we have the total volume increase of 32%, which again is really incredible. Land sales have really picked up too. And of course, land sales have been lagging with the market, but a real good indication for the market when you see the land sales pick up. But we're up 30% over last year in the number of sales, pricing up 14%, and that's a 48% improvement in the volume. So contractors are happy, architects are happy. We're getting people back to work here, which is really important. It's just a great time to be in the business in Maui, and things are certainly progressing.
I agree, Dean. People back to work is a huge thing nationwide. So getting everybody back to work in the construction business really helps a lot. And I think, and it's also exciting for any developments that were around, like Pineapple Hill has people building again, Plantation, pretty much everywhere, don't they?
Absolutely. You're seeing a lot of homes being designed and built right now. What we don't see a lot of is new developments in the sense of subdivisions or new projects. There's a couple out there, but something that's been sort of glaringly missing from our market over the last few years, and we're seeing the results of it. Inventory is way down. We don't have a lot of inventory right now, so when I say it's sometimes difficult to feel the progress of the market, it's partly due to the fact that there's limited inventory. And if you look at absorption rates, which is always a good indicator of the future of the market, you'll see that we only have about 5.5 months of residential inventory on the market. We only have about 5.2 months of condominium inventory right now. That's extremely low. That was over 12 months, a couple of years ago. The other thing that's changed dramatically is the amount of distress sales. 2 years ago, we had about 42% of our sales in the residential market being either a bank-owned or a short sale. Right now, we're down to 21% for residential and 10% for condominiums, which is a dramatic reduction. And what it tells us is that a lot of the distress has been removed from the market, and we're moving forward into a more normal market.
That really does help a lot, because I think to a certain extent people were a little fooled by the idea of buying a short sale or a bank-owned property or something in the middle of a foreclosure, and they would get wrapped up in the idea of it. But especially someone buying a second home, it really wasn't working for them. It was going to take too much to get into it, not buying it, but once they were in and they pull it back into shape and all the things that needed to be done on the typical foreclosed home, so that it kept people in away from buying, and they lost out on some properties that were really fabulous values and way better than a lot of the foreclosure sales. So I think it's nice that they're kind of getting away, and that the people now that are looking to really sell, I think, are up. I think there's still great values. Interest rates went down again, I think, over the last couple of days, Dean.
Yeah, they did drop a little bit.
Yeah.
They've been hovering around the historical lows. Loans are really attractive right now, and it's certainly helping our market to progress as the inventory is down, the sales are up, pricing is up, and rates are low. I don't think you could get a better combination for buying a property right now.
No, historically that never happens, where you get it. I remember at one time that the interest rates went up to like 20%. Now, Dean is way too young to really remember that, except for the stories of it. But it was crazy, and people did still buy real estate, and eventually they refinanced. I mean, you're almost at the point again where people are talking refinancing. They refinanced 3 years ago or 2 years ago, because if they hit a great rate, it still helps them, especially if they're going to stay in their home for a long time.
Yeah, people often forget about how important the rate is on a purchase like this, because I see people negotiating on a price, $5,000 here and sort of nickel and diming to get these deals done, but not paying as close attention to the interest rate and the opportunities that are out there for a mortgage. 1% over 30 years is a significant amount of money, and low rates clearly is a major factor right now.
Yeah, I think, again, it's worth, when you chat with us, a couple of things that I still think we should chat about today is reasons that you should hire a realtor, to represent you when you're buying. And one of the biggest ones is that you're going to find a wealth of knowledge in each member of the Board of Realtors, so that you talk to us and we're going to help you and walk you through everything. We're not only going to help you find a home, We're going to discuss your needs and what what really works for you. Maybe you don't need quite as much as you think. We're going to go through interest rates. We're going to talk to you about some lenders and refer you to some people. And we're also going to say, you may have a bank that you really want to work with or a local credit union, and you get to them and you sit down and you spend some time. But home ownership is so amazing, and there's so many things that your realtor will do for you. They'll help you with everything.
Yeah, and it's not just the transaction. We have a code of ethics, we have standard operating procedures, we have laws that we're held to, and so there's a certain amount of professionalism that comes with hiring a realtor that's expected from the realtor. So that's an important aspect as well. I think it's important to understand that you get a lot of protection from your realtor. If for whatever reason your realtor did not perform or made a mistake, you have insurance to cover you. So that's a sort of important considerations when you're getting into complicated transactions. That the realtor does come with a lot of protection and insulation. That if there is a problem or if they do inadvertently make a mistake, there is coverage that you would be able to collect on.
Absolutely. I mean, that really is a key piece of information. And also, there's all the little things that they're going to help you with, whether it's figuring out how you get moved or the littlest things, changing your electric, doing this, doing that. We do have a wealth of information in each of our offices. Call Sakamoto Properties, but you may have a neighbor who's a realtor. I'm not saying you've got to come to us. There are some amazing real estate brokers around, and use us and let us help you get through the process. So I think, again, Dean, that is a big one. Use a realtor.
Right.
We're going to be there for you, and we're going to be there for you after the deal.
Right.
And I think we do as much or more after the deal than we do during the deal, because it's important. We want you to come back to us again. We want you to refer your family and friends. And every realtor is the same in that. Referrals are golden. So
we're in the relationship business, so that's really important for us. One of the things I've noticed recently in working with a couple of my younger sort of entry-level buyers is that since we've been through such a rough period in the market, people have sort of forgotten about some of the benefits of owning a home. And the one that I'm particularly a proponent of whenever I talk to prospective buyers is the fact that we have such a great opportunity with the capital gains exemption. If you own your home and you live in your home for 2 of the last preceding 5 years, you have a great opportunity to buy a property in today's market, live in it for the next 2 to 5 years, and hopefully if the market continues to progress, there's a potential that you can have a nice profit at the end of the day. And what most people aren't realizing or have forgotten or just have never really learned is the fact that this incentive exists. It's an unbelievable incentive if you can go buy a property, live in it for 2 years, sell it for $250,000 profit, and have that profit be tax-free. The only requirement really is that you have to live as a primary resident in the home. So, I think that people have forgotten about that just as a part of the fact that we've been through such a difficult market where people haven't talked much about profit. But ultimately, it's becoming a major factor again, and I think it's one of the main reasons why people should consider buying a property is it's the primary way to accumulate wealth. $250,000 for an individual is a lot of money to have that tax-free.
$500,000 couple.
$500,000 if you're a couple, and we've been the beneficiary in my family of one of those exemptions. So, to buy a home and enjoy the home and live in the home and raise a family in the home for 2 to 5 years, and then be able to sell it with $500,000 tax-free is nothing like it. And it truly is, I think, the way that we accumulate wealth, and this opportunity has been given to us because it would be really difficult for a couple living on Maui, earning a salary, to over and above their regular income and expenses to be able to save $500,000, which is tax-free, which means it's like $800,000. And I don't know about you, but I don't see too many people making a surplus $800,000, these days. So
I agree, in their lifetime.
In their lifetime, potentially. And as I say, this is the way that we accumulate wealth. If you talk to a lot of the very successful people, they'll tell you that a lot of their wealth was created in real estate, and it's through tax incentives like this that you can really benefit from owning real estate. To me, it's a no-brainer, and that anyone who's sort of on the fence should consider the fact that when you're looking for a home, you don't have to look at it as the rest of your life. You could look at it as a 2-year play. and the ability to come out of that with some profit, which would be tax-free, is right now, I think, the way to go.
I think Dean has some great statements on that. The only thing I think, as the older person here, is that you also want to be careful. If it is your family home, and you've got to then, again, work with your realtor to be sure of what you're doing, because you're going to still want a home for your family. So you're going to be trading into something else, not actually trade, but you're going to be finding another property. In a lot of cases, you're making more money, so you can still qualify for the mortgage. The ability to pull that cash out, which you might be able to use to even upgrade your new home. So there's so many different things, but I think, again, it's critical that you pay attention when you're doing that, where your family is going to live next. Over the years, we've watched a lot of people that was always a little sad for Maui, but had a great investment property, loved it, lived there, it was their home, and they were able to sell it, and then they ended up moving back to Oshkosh or somewhere, and when they moved back, they were able to take with them all of the profit, tax-free, and they ended up buying homes back there, which was buying mansions back there. But again, there's so many things, even just the fact that you're writing off interest, you're writing off taxes. You just need to learn the process, and again, your realtor will help you with that. We can give you so much information.
And of course, you'll note that capital gains tax went up this year to 20%, and if you make over $200,000, there's an additional 3.8%, which is to cover the Obamacare cost. So taxes are going up, and I think what's going to happen is the tax consideration becomes more important as taxes go up, and just the ability to not have to pay taxes on an investment is huge, because that's a 20 to 40% consideration depending on capital gains or regular income tax. It'd be hard to look for investments that generate 50% returns, but tax-free clearly is something I'm a big fan of.
Well, we've got to hope that this doesn't go away too.
This is something that is clearly on the table, and I think I'm encouraging people to get in and take advantage, and we see that as one of the tax benefits that might be disappearing in the near term.
Well, hopefully it doesn't, but it is, another one of those that is frightening, because I think it has been a great thing for people owning their own home and having a place that they can live, and then even if it's a later time when they're retiring and they're able to maybe sell when they need to downsize, but still not pay taxes on that $500,000 as a couple, that would make a huge difference. Even if it was $100,000, most people are not saving $100,000 in their life. So to have $100,000 at the end of living in a place, or hopefully $500,000 tax-free, it really has, everything that you put into that house now totally makes sense, and will ensure that you have a great retirement, and that you do have a place for your kids to keep coming home to on Maui, wherever that is. You may move on to something else, but it'll still be a great purchase. Real estate is amazing.
Real estate is amazing, and one of the reasons it's so amazing is because of these tax benefits, which are really hard to get in other investments. Now, if you had an investment property, we're talking about a $500,000 exemption for homeowners. But if you had an investment property, you also have the opportunity to defer any profit due on a sale into a subsequent property if you purchase one of equal or greater value. So, taxes are a big factor. They're going to become more of a factor as we move forward. But there are ways to benefit through real estate. Benefit in the sense of deferring or getting tax credits for these transactions. There's certainly investment opportunities through the 1031 tax deferred exchange, which is a deferral, but it's still a benefit. If your appreciation is growing tax-free, it's always going to be a benefit to you.
And I think that makes a huge difference too, Dean. I think when someone's exchanging, they don't have to even go from, if they had one property that was an investment property, they can actually exchange into 2 or 3 or 4 investment properties.
Correct.
So that you can really work it so that you may be exchanging from one that you held for a reason that made a lot of sense to you when you were fairly young, but now all of a sudden you could be 50 and you'd want to have more income coming in, so that you might do an exchange in order to buy properties that are going to be better for you, that work better for you. So I think it really is, it's, again, you're right, All the exchange possibilities are amazing. We
Right.
can find great properties.
And of course, it's not just about the tax benefits, but real estate is something that I think everyone should be able to enjoy. As I said earlier, it's really the primary way that we accumulate wealth. It's the biggest investment that anyone will make. And there's obvious advantages of you raising families and living in neighborhoods and that as well too. So it's not just all about the taxes.
And there's nothing better than any time, and we've done, fortunately, and we're happy, we've been able to represent a lot of amazing people that come to Maui. We've met and worked with some great celebrities and extremely wealthy people. But nothing in anything we've done, Dean, is any greater than when you walk in and you're handing the keys to someone for their first home. They're maybe having a baby coming up, or they've just had a baby, or they've got another one, and they're looking, and they just can't wait to put some curtains on the windows and make it theirs.
Definitely the most rewarding sales. As you say, we've been really lucky in dealing with some incredible people, Kelsey Grammer, Carlos Santana, but they're generally people who don't rely on us for advice. They're multiple attorneys and advisors, and you're sort of facilitating a transaction with them, but there's nothing more rewarding than selling a property to a first-time home buyer and just seeing the look on their face and the enjoyment that comes out of that process.
And years later, I met some people. That was one of my first sales on Maui. They bought a Maui Eldorado unit, and they were Maui residents. And at the time, the prices were fairly low. They had a small business that they were running. She had just moved here from the mainland. Just really great couple. And then they moved on from that, and they did some other things. And and I didn't see them for a long time. And then I ran into them somewhere, maybe 20 years later. And as I talked to them, I said, they were saying to me, you have no idea how you changed our life. At the time, we never thought we would buy something, and all of a sudden, we found ourselves living at this really sweet, wonderful resort, and it worked for us. And then when they started having kids, they bought a small house in Lahaina, and they moved up, and a lot of things changed. But they just said to me that when I helped them and spent time with them, it totally changed their lives.
Yeah, I agree. And as the president at Maui Prep, president of the board of trustees, being able to be lucky enough to help several of the teachers acquiring their first homes, covering closing costs out of the commissions, and doing all kinds of fun, creative things to get these people into deals where they couldn't normally afford it. And I think, I've really gotten great pleasure out of working with those people, and the feedback is just amazing.
Dean has done amazing things for the Maui Preparatory Academy, which is in West Maui, right in Napili, right toward Kapalua. Really an amazing thing that he's done and how it's been working. We happen to be winding down already, Dean. I think we're definitely past the 2-minute warning, so I think we've got to kind of close it up here. But call us, 808-669-0070. Find us on Twitter, Maui Sakamoto. Connect with us using the hashtag Betty Maui Radio, and SakamotoProperties.com or DeanAuto.com.
Thank you.
Isn't it? Yeah. I mean, you can find us, but Dean's in the office a good deal of the time. You'll find us. Just call, and our office manager will track us down if we happen to be, hopefully, out selling real estate.
Hopefully. And thanks for having me, Betty. It's always great to be here. The time always goes so quickly.
It does.
But I always enjoy it, and look forward to it again.
Danny Couch, I Love Hawaii.
Aloha.
Everybody had better buy I Love Hawaii by Danny Couch. Aloha.
Aloha.